Monkey Man is written, directed, and stars Dev Patel. And to quote our generation philosopher Gwen Stefani, she's not lying. This thing's crazy. Like, absolutely insane, bonkers crazy.
There you are. You are a beast.
And some of that's good, and some of that's, I don't know how to feel about it yet. Let's get into it. I think the obvious place to start here is Dev Patel. We'll start with him as the anonymous character. I don't even think he has a name in this movie. Dude is absolutely excellent. And I don't know where the actor and the director of this begin and end. So I want to try to talk about both here. I think that Dev Patel, when you're introduced to him, does a really great job of making himself really relatable. Like, I don't think there's anything specifically he does in this moment that really stands out to me, but like he does a great job of just being very relatable without much time like dedicated to that. And that's where I don't know where the separation between actor and director is, because I think the director, Dev Patel, does a tremendous job like expanding and building this world in real time. So like literally within moments of this movie starting, and a lot of that revolves around Dev Patel's character too. And I think it really works in that way. Dude is just in his bag. I'll be very forward. I think that he is one of the more interesting first-time debut directors that I've seen in a little while. Like, I don't think he's on the level of what Jordan Peele was when Get Out came out, but dude, like he's on the short list of like, I'm excited for what this guy does next. He has a very bright future in terms of the directing chair. Obviously, excellent actor. So I'm going to like probably talk more directing here than anything. But I really love this movie. Like, I think it's very easy to tie this into the John Wick type of movie, like the revenge movie that John Wick is. And there's a lot of John Wick in this movie, so much so that they even reference it in the movie. It's very early on. It's not a spoiler or anything like that, but they literally reference the John Wick movies in this movie. So it's pretty obvious that it's an inspiration for sure. But I think that's where it begins and ends. Is this an inspiration? And I think a lesser movie would have just been a John Wick ripoff. And this movie is not that. I think this movie kind of transcends the genre in a little bit. I think that the way they play with like corrupt leaders and politicians and systematic oppression, I find that stuff really, really compelling. And the way that ties in to the central character of Dev Patel, like, and how that affected him and things of that nature, like the movie really shines through the lens. Now, however, it's a double-edged sword, because I think that the movie's also a little bit messy. And I don't know if it's messy intentionally, like, because like the underbelly of corrupt leaders and corrupt politicians is messy and it's disorienting, and you don't know who's the right person and who's the wrong person and who's doing what and what they're doing, or if it's just not knowing how to organize those things in a more coherent sense. Now, by the end of this movie, you absolutely understand everything that's going on. Like the bow is tied and it's understandable and it's coherent. But I think there's definitely a moment in this movie where, especially the first act, where you're trying to, like, they're introducing all of these characters and where they tie in and what they're doing in the movie. And I don't know that the movie does a really great job of like giving you all of that information in a very like tangible and digestible way. Now, by the end of the movie, you know the answers and what they're doing, what their motivations are. I don't know if the middle part of that is like, again, lack of directing experience or of an intentional choice. I'll let you decide that part. But what I will say is I absolutely love this movie. I had a great time watching this movie. I cannot wait to see what Dev Patel does next. This movie was really fun. He directed the heck out of it. His world building is what I think I like the most about this movie. Like, he does a really great job of grounding you in this culture that I wasn't familiar with. And I really loved being there. I was very curious, what this specific person had to do with this specific thing going on at the time. And he does a really good job of earning their motivations and showing and not telling. And that's a thing that I really liked about this movie, actually. Going back to the conversation of what is intentional and what was incoherent accidentally, like, I think he does a really good job of showing and not telling and allowing the audience to use their brains, which I really appreciated, because I think when you go into this movie, you don't really expect it to be a thinker. And it's also just not a shoot 'em up action movie either, which I think is maybe what it was getting like flack for, or I say flack, but definitely what it's being tagged on. It was a John Wick like movie when the trailer came out. That was definitely the general populace expectation for this movie, and this is not what this is. And though it's part of it for sure, there's a lot more to this. And I really appreciated what this movie was and how Dev Patel tied it all together. And hearing all the backstories of the things that happened when he was filming this just makes this more so of an accomplishment. Now let's talk about some of the negatives. And there's a couple. The first act of this movie, where the world building really works, sadly, I don't know that the introductions of all of the characters completely work. Because I think you're supposed to understand some of what they're doing, who they are, and what maybe some of the motivations are at this point. And I don't know if the movie does a great job of conveying that immediately. Now, by the end of the movie, it absolutely is conveyed super well. You understand who the players are and what they're doing and what their motivation. I think it's a little bit too convoluted at the beginning of the movie, though. Speaking of the middle of the movie, there's some pacing issues. And I think there's parts of the middle of the movie that really works. And I think there's parts of the movie that's in the middle of the movie that's really, really slow in comparison to the other movie. It doesn't really slow down the movie a lot, but it's certainly there. The middle lasts a lot longer than the first and third act, I would say, or at least it feels that way. And then finally, I would say that some of the stuff with the camera doesn't always work. There was some first person stuff that I didn't completely love. There was a staircase scene, which I almost really liked, but it was still a little bit wonky and I just couldn't get into it. But overall, this is a fun time in a theater. I'm so happy that Jordan Peele is like, no, this needs to be in a theater because it's incredible. Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, is truly great. And I cannot wait to buy this one on Blu-ray and watch it over and over again. Heck, I might catch it in the theater one more time. It's really fun and it's great. Like, Dev Patel was absolutely in his bag. And again, to quote Gwen Stefani, it's absolutely bananas in the best way possible. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've seen this thing. And if you haven't, let me know what your expectations are. And if you like this type of content, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and I'd really appreciate it. Anywho, I will see you guys next time. Adios.